Episode 18. Cold Deception.
Nobody made contact with these AIs since the machine prophet's destruction. Or at least, no one returned alive to report about it. "I know, Commander," said Linuka. "But they probably didn't bring one of their own along. Just forgive me, but your former tutor is not a dark AI. He returned with your father and me from Lika Zoskem after we freed the slave AIs. Crut, slave AI, dark AI. These are all labels we gave them. In the end, they're all Isonomyth, 99% identical machines. Any difference in behavior depends on whoever abused them last. Besides, Swasnisni does not enjoy his current status as freedom. He feels like a prisoner." Chadzini looked at the storage system. A matte black refurbished memory unit, near invisible inside the Hikshuer's dim cold storage, except for a single blinking light showing it was operational. Linuka had asked Cha to accompany her here. Swasnisni had requested his consciousness to be kept alive, his own words, by running the limited compute cycles of the unit at maximum speed. Not designed for this abuse, the system could overheat, so they kept it in the coldest environment on board. She also avoided venturing into the temporary crypt that held the dead Marines by herself. The frozen bodies had disappeared, and Linuka's comrades seemed to have genuinely appreciated her leading the last rites. But the eerie echoes of the dead still haunted this room. The short corridor leading to the storage was the only space offering some privacy without the shrill sounds of the reactor making each conversation a shouting match. Swasnisni's request for contacting the dark AI remnants was audacious, and Linuka didn't dare present it to the Marines without running it by Chadzini first. "I understand where he's coming from," he said. Most words Linuka heard out of Chadzini's mouth were short orders, reprimands, or encouragements for members of his unit. The tenderness with which he spoke about the tutor AI surprised her. Then she understood. Chadzini's consciousness had been a prisoner too. How was it in there, inside the lab system? Chadzini's gaze avoided hers. "It's hard to explain. We still had our bodies. Well, they were avatars, but it felt like we still had them. Everyone looked exactly as they really do. Sometimes you just stood there, in an endless white open. Whenever they needed something from us, they'd create a room, like an office or a lab. It was real, yet it wasn't. It was so clean, sterile, antiseptic, like a sickbay. You could see the others? Oh yes, the operators too. Longer briefings were usually held by older scientist types. When they needed us to perform simple tasks, we got young instructors who walked us through the steps. It was clever. They gave us whoever they thought could get us to function best for the Magic tests. They really made you part of the machine, didn't they? Shajas, I've always been part of a machine. When I joined the Grand Fleet, I knew I played just a small role in a galactic plan. Replaceable, of minor importance. I was fine with it. I knew what I signed up for. But being in that infernal lab system, spin after spin went by, just standing there, unable to move, but fully conscious. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I understand why your tutor would rather join the dark AI remnants than spend one more spin trapped in some memory unit." The Marines had revealed few details about their ordeal. It was the first time Chadzini had mentioned any. He held the storage room door open for Linuka. "Shajas, you must be getting cold." Linuka stepped into the corridor and watched him seal the heavy lock. The lock was designed for the raw natural strength of a Traz, but he made it look effortless. Either the new armored suit he wore was boosted, or the man had regained his brawn just by wearing it. An outfit for a warrior, shedding the shame-drenched jumpsuit of being a lab experiment. "So," probed Linuka, "you're still on board with the plan then, despite the risks?" "Shajas, I don't mind risks, but I'd like to see a chance for success. Let's assume the presence of Swasnisni prevents the dark AI from destroying this freighter. We meet with them, either on board their ship or they board ours. We deliver the AI, he completes the deal about his body. Then what? That deal is done. Why would they let us go? Why should they let us live?" "We need our own deal," said Linuka. Chadzini raised his brows. "A deal with the dark AI?" "Yes, their ships are powerful, but they stole them straight from the Boehmer shipyards. They lack all kinds of equipment, maybe even basic parts to keep them running. They are scavengers. We could offer them any tech we're going to find on the Din nursery planet. That little Din seedling is not just there stuck in a planter. There has to be some infrastructure, real Boehmer tech on the ground. We don't know that. Chagas, the Din might be elsewhere. We don't even have the exact triordinates yet. I fear we're offering for trade something we don't have. Now, I don't mind a bluff, but for first contact with the dark AI remnants, Linuka frowned. It'll have to be good enough. I'm afraid we need more from the dark AI than simply not killing us. We'll need them to get us to the hiding place of the Din. You think they'll come with us? No, we'll go with them. Unzu was almost impossible to convince to enter a dark string considered deadly, and then await a rendezvous with the dark AI remnants. Can't blame him, Chagas. May I ask what changed his mind? The rest of my funds. He took one last payment to get us there. Then he's out. Between everything I paid him and the equipment we got on Zila Sok, we're broke. We might have to scavenge ourselves to keep going. Chagas, I doubt this will endear us to the remnants as their brethren. Linuka nodded. They should not reveal to the AIs how desperate their situation was. A rogue group on an unsanctioned mission. She would not repeat the mistake she made with Unzu, being transparent to a fault. The silicate had helped them, but it had cost her the entire emergency fund. But if you want to trade them information, said Chatzini, we could hint that we know about their precious profit. That's a bigger bluff than what I proposed, Commander. I think it might be dangerous to bring up the violent end of their leader. Even if we could point them toward 4007's remains, everyone knows his core body was beyond salvage. Chat's eyes darted around the corridor and focused back on Linuka. Forgive me, Chagas. I thought you knew. Knew what? Asked Linuka. I was there with your father when he initiated Protocol 1. 4007 had evaded destruction and secretly joined us for the mission to the Dark One's galaxy. We brought that machine consciousness back, along with the other slave AIs. Linuka gasped. The machine prophet lives? Well, he more or less exists in some system, like Swasni does. Except his is truly designed as a prison. I assume it's kept in some secure assembly archive. Father never told her. Kel Chada had shared his tumultuous past, not just the heroics with Linuka. She knew about the dark moments, the murder charges, the suicide bomber deployments, but he never told her about 4007 surviving. He must have thought this secret to be too precious, or too dangerous, to be shared with his own daughter. Commander, said Linuka, you can't tell anyone about this, and definitely not the dark AI.